Okay, so we're starting our live in three, two, one.
Hi, everyone. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, our special guest is superstar Todd Walters from Atlanta, Georgia, entrepreneur, one of the top 10 realtors in the United States. He's also co-founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Todd, welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show.
No, it's a pleasure to be here today, Craig. Thanks for having me, man.
Todd, you and I were talking about exactly what we're going to cover today, and we had to go into this big announcement by NAR. It's a bee's nest. Oh my God. I said to Todd, I went live on Facebook last Wednesday, a couple days before this announcement by the NAR, where of course I had no idea that I knew it was going to be settled, but I had no idea it was going to be like right around that time. And this thing blew up on social media. We got people that are upset. We got people that are excited. We got they threw it. The NAR threw us under the bus. Emotions all over the place. Todd, what's your take on this?
Well, it's been a long time coming, quite frankly, and no big surprise to you and I, for sure. Over the last, what is it now, 2-3 decades of working with buyers and sellers, pretty much whatever an industry norm or standard is, the way to get rich in real estate is to legally and ethically maybe disrupt those industry norms and standards. So, negotiating, collecting your fee when working with buyers is a Craig Proctor system way. I learned that from you many decades ago. That served my life and my real estate sales team and now these real estate companies very, 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 very well. And when you go down the road of doing that, you also learn how to take on a seller's property and develop a system for selling the home versus relying on the MLS and buyer's agents at all. So this is nothing really new for us, but we did see it coming because, hey, when you walk into a seller's house and you sort of coerce them or convince them, manipulate them, I don't know what the right word is. The courts didn't like it, but when you walk into a seller's house and say, hey, you've got to pay a real estate agent that represents someone else, and in fact, they're going to work against your interest, eventually that's going to catch up with you as a business practice, and that's what happened.
Well, yeah, associations like the NAR can have all the rules they want, but the rules of associations, whether it's a homeowner association, whatever, they have to actually comply with the laws of the land. So that's what happened here. You guys know the story. NAR lost. They had to pay a penalty of $1.8 billion, and there was a threat that was going to be tripled. Anyway, they settled for $418 million, and the compromise was that the commission that goes to the buyer agent on MLS, that field is gone. Sometime in July, that field is gone. Now, Todd, you and I are talking about, most agents are going to be in shock over this. Two reasons you said, and I love how you said it. Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. You said reason number one is most agents had a hard time getting the buyer to work with them when they could say, I do all this stuff for you and it's free. They couldn't get buyers by saying to the buyer, I do this and this and this and this and this, and all I ask for is your loyalty. It's free. I don't charge you anything, and you're never obligated to buy. They struggled with that. They couldn't even get a buyer contract signed saying, I'm free. Now that the agent has to convince the buyer to pay them for the same services, a lot of real estate agents won't know how to handle that. Then you added this other point. You said, yeah, that's one problem for sure. The other problem is most listing agents totally relied on MLS, on commission sharing, and that was their entire marketing plan. In other words, I list the house. I don't know how to find a buyer for my property. I don't have to worry about it. I slap the listing on MLS, and we do a commission share, and some other agent does all the work and brings the buyer. Okay, well, that commission sharing's going away. Many agents won't know how to sell their listings without MLS. They won't know how to do it without the way it's worked for them in the past. So I did a webinar on this on Monday. Thing blows up, gone viral. People all over the place. NAR sold us out, people mad, some people happy, a lot of people very anxious about this. Now, this is nothing new to Todd Walters and I. Todd, if you can show the book, please.
Yes.
I think this was in 2015, I believe. Todd and I wrote a book, and it was called The Death of the Traditional Real Estate Agent and the Rise of the Super Profitable Sales Team. We predicted this. It's just like 8 or 9 years ago. Go read the book. You can find it on Amazon. And there's no question that is very difficult for the solo agent, the traditional agent, using traditional norms and standards to be effective in today's market. So here's what we did way back then. We counseled our top agents to give away 0 on MLS. That's what they were giving away. So they're weren't involved in any of these lawsuits. They would list a house at 6%, they would offer, or 7%, or whatever they wanted, and they would offer 0 to the co-op agent. Of course, they got all kinds of flack for that. As it turns out, we were exactly right. And of course, agents would get upset and they're like, why is there 0? Is this some kind of mistake? And we would explain to buyer brokers, this is a good thing for you because you're able to negotiate your own fee. Okay, and we'll show you how to negotiate whatever fee that you want. Instead of, how many of you guys had a problem with the fact that when you worked with a buyer, you weren't able to negotiate your fee, or you were, but you were able to always, but you weren't. You were just accepting whatever was being offered on MLS. So we have been teaching our members, Craig Proctor members, how to negotiate their fee. Not what's offered on MLS, but negotiate whatever fee you want and get paid through the proceeds of sale, which is exactly how it's going to work. So we're so many years ahead of what's happening. But Todd, you and I go back like 30 years. We've always been years and years ahead of what's happening out there. We were then, we are now, and we will be ahead of things going into the future. So our members really are like, they couldn't care less about this. It hasn't changed business at all for them.
No, not at all. It's just another day getting up and selling more homes than just about anybody else in the real estate industry. So, but when you think about it, it is a great business practice if you're an agent and you list a home to put the property on the market and offer 0 to a buyer's agent. It's a good business practice for the seller. It's a great business practice for the buyer's agents, and a really good practice for the actual listing agent as well. And a couple of reasons why. Okay, number one, when the commission is at 0, it doesn't mean there's no commission. It just means that there's no limit to the commission that the buyer's agent can negotiate for themselves based on the deal that they have with their buyer. So over the years of selling real estate, when the listing agent and the seller get together and they decide they're going to offer a fee in the MLS or out there in the world to a buyer's agent, the fee that they conjure up together is a fee that they believe it's worth to them. So, but the buyer has their own hopes and dreams and desires and things that they want. So obviously what the buyer wants from their own real estate agent, the buyer's agent, is probably worth a lot more. In other words, it's more valuable. The buyer's agent's more valuable to the buyer than they are to the seller and the listing agent. So not been a real proponent of sticking a fee in MLS because it does send a signal to the buyer's agents that, hey, there's a limit to how much you can earn. And we've decided the limit is based on what it's worth to us, irregardless of what the buyer may want. So and
also a beef that some industry watchers had is they were accusing real estate agents of steering buyers to certain homes because some homes paid the agent more than other homes. So the answer to that is how this is going to work now, and what you and I have been doing with our members for years, which is give the agent the ability to negotiate their own fee, and they get that fee, whether it's 2%, 3%, 4%, or 5%, whatever it is, they get that fee regardless of what home they sell.
Yep.
There is no motivation for the agent to steer a buyer to one property or another property because they're literally getting the same commission. That is baked into the cake. It's negotiated in the buyer agreement. Now, I know a lot of you watching don't know how to do this. And Todd, you and I will have to decide today how much we want to share. So,
Yeah.
so I want everyone watching this to think about this. You got a couple months, and the reason there's a couple months, they're going to have to make changes to the paperwork. And for example, the buyer agreements right now have a little space in there where you can type in your commission, and then it says, or you can just accept whatever is being offered on MLS. Obviously, that'll have to be edited out because there won't be any commission being offered on MLS to the buyer broker. Okay, that is part of the compromise. That is going away. It's a done deal. Here's another thing. A lot of agents are saying, well, then why do we even need MLSs? If an MLS is defined as a commission sharing portal and there's no longer commission sharing allowed, what's the future of MLSs, Todd?
Yeah, it pretty much is just a syndication platform. And what I mean by that is if you're a listing agent, list a house, you jam it in MLS, and there's no real estate commission being offered up to the buyer's agent, essentially it's just a syndication platform. So
it's like Zillow.
Yeah, you're going to get
it's
to get the property on the Zillow, Realtor.com, and out there syndicated to wherever you want, in hopes that you would generate buyers, like people would come to you. So it remains to be seen. So crafty Craig Proctor members who are really good at marketing, they really understand marketing, know how to position their properties on the market so that it attracts more prospects, even in syndication, than the average real estate agent does. So if you're going to be successful here long term in this business, then yeah, you got to get really, really, really good at marketing and understand how all that works to create more demand for your properties over and above anybody else's. It's kind of always been the case, but again, most real estate agents struggle not necessarily with jamming a home in MLS. It's they struggle with getting customers. So when they get a customer and they list a home in MLS and it sells really fast, somebody else come along and sell that, they still complain, I have no customers. So they don't have a system for using the listing, for example, to get more business. They use the listing basically just to get a commission check versus the Craig Proctor way, which is using the listing to get more listings. So yeah, there's going to be a need and demand for real estate agents out there who are serious about their career and their future. They're going to be seeking out people like you, Craig, to like, okay, help me develop a system for not just getting customers, but for doing that as well, using customers to get more business and so that I got more predictability in my business and to get paid very, very well for providing that exceptional value.
Okay, question, Todd. A prediction. How many real estate agents are gone in July when the buyer commission goes away in MLS? When the buyer needs to get paid directly from the buyer, they got to convince the buyer to pay them. How many real estate agents won't know how to do that, won't have the skill, the ability, the capability to do that? How many real estate agents are gone? 1 in 4, 1 in 3? What's your prediction?
It's definitely going to be a big number. It's hard to imagine it can get any worse, like where you've got 80 to 87% of all real estate agents quitting the business every 5 years now. So what happens is they quit. A tremendous chunk of them quit every few years, but they're replaced with new people coming in. So I think the quitting's still going to continue. It's the new people getting into the business now have heard and seen like, maybe it's not the greatest thing that I thought it was, and they move in a different direction in terms of career or whatever it is they're picking to do now.
Yes, I think a lot of people watch reality TV. They watch these real estate agent reality TV shows, and I think, well, this is easy.
Exactly.
I'm just going to drive, my Ferrari or my Lamborghini to networking parties. Not really like that, folks. This is the real world.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm talking to Todd Walters here. If you joined us late, give us your comments, folks. Type your comments into chat right now. Okay, give us your comments. What do you think of all of this? Where do you guys stand on this? Do you agree with what we're saying? Do you disagree with what you're saying? I mean, this is a conversation, right? How many of you are all for this or perhaps not really bothered by this? And how many of you are kind of nervous about this? There's a lot of uncertainty and you're not sure how to handle this. Let us know your questions and your comments here. So we can have a dialogue about this. But unless you've been hiding under a rock, what we've been talking about is commission sharing is dead on the MLS. the field that offers you a commission when you represent the broker is going away. Okay, that is done. So now you've got to figure out how you're going to get paid directly through the buyer. Now, there's two ways you could do this. Here's way number one. Okay, method number one is you could say to your buyer, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I charge 3% and you're buying $1 million home. So you got to stroke me a check for $30,000. Okay. How would that conversation go? How many buyers might say, well, the heck with you, I'm just going to call the listing agent? That's the way it works in other countries, right? Like Australia, they have a Zillow-like public website. There is no commission sharing happening over there in these other countries. This only happens in the United States and Canada. So a buyer in Australia typically looks at this Zillow-type website. They find the house. They call the agent that has the listing, and they buy the house. Now, could they have their own representation? Yes, they could, but they have to pay for it. And many Australian home buyers are like, yeah, I'm not going to pay for that. So let's go back to you folks. You've got a buyer and they want to buy $1 million home. Up until now, you didn't have to worry about it, right? You were getting 2.5% or 3%. Even at 2.5%, you were making $25,000 to sell a house, this $1 million house. And this $1 million house is probably a home the buyer found themselves on the internet. See, a lot of buyers today are like, well, what do I need an agent for? I can find the homes by myself. I don't need an agent. And I'd prefer to find as much information as I can before I speak to a salesperson. Just like most of you would prefer to look at Auto Trader or look at the car dealership website to see what they have in inventory before you walk into the dealership. You're not looking for a car salesperson. In fact, many of us, if we could buy the car without the salesperson, we'd rather do it that way. Well, it's the same thing in real estate. The search begins online. So we coach you guys up on how do you show up online. When people Google your city and real estate, do you even show up? And a big change that's happening here is people don't answer the phone, right? So you buy these leads and you're trying to get them on the phone and you can't get them on the phone. And now you're like, well, what do I do now? If I can't get them on the phone, I can't tell them who I am or what I do or what makes me different and better. So we have a solution for that. We show you how to push your marketing out online and pre-sell the buyers and sellers so they do know who you are and what you do and what makes you different and better. They know about your services. And the new call to action, of course, is they call you. Okay, so method number one of getting paid. Okay, well, method number one just went away. Okay, that's like it's been offered. Okay, so the next, what we just talked about is, okay, so the buyer has to pay you directly. Or would this sound better? You say to the buyer, my services are 3% or 4% or whatever they are, and you write that into the buyer agreement, and you say to the buyer, but we're still going to get this seller to pay for it. Now, you guys don't know how to do that, and we're not going to show you how to do that on our podcast here today, but trust us on this. We wrote the book. We have members that have been with us for 20 or 30 years. Some of them, our top level members, pay us $40,000 a year for coaching, but they are the most successful real estate agents in the world. Okay. Todd and I coach. There's nobody coaches more millionaire agents or created, not just coach, created more millionaire agents than Todd and I over the last 20 years. So we're going to offer you some information though, so you can get some help on this. But basically, the way we're going to do this going forward is the good news is you get to negotiate your fee with the buyer, whatever you're worth. Now, I know some of you are like, well, the more I make, the price is going to go up for the house. Look, unless you want to work for free, because we do have, I said to Todd before we get started, we do have real estate agents say, well, if the buyer has to pay a commission, that's going to take their down payment away. It'll hurt their ability to buy. Well, some of you say to me, I got into real estate. I just want to help people. I just want to help people. Well, do it for free then. Don't charge the buyer any commission. There you go. But you won't stay in business that long. Okay. So this is fair. If you're the best architect in your city, you command the highest fee, right? If you're the best surgeon or the best attorney in your city, you command the highest fee. So we show you how to negotiate your fee and how to get the seller to pay for it so the buyer's not paying, writing you a check.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing that Todd and I were talking about, maybe it's better to get some listings right now, guys. Okay, if you don't like what we're talking about with the buyer end, why don't you just get more listings? Well, Craig, you're a genius. People say, well, how do I get more listings? Well, we have a free report on how to do this. I don't know if you guys can see this here. Probably not very good. But this free report is how to get listings in this volatile market. If you want this free report on how to get listings and an explanation of what's going on here, just drop your email address into the comments here, and we'll get this free report out on how to get more listings in this volatile marketplace. Todd, before we get started, you and I were talking about what's likely going to happen now is the listing commissions are going to go up.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've been reading and following this, you and I have for years now, since this war's been going on around this business practice. And it was pretty obvious, like the court, or we wouldn't say the courts, but we'll say the pundits, will say, okay, now commissions, houses are going to be more affordable, commissions are going to go down. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think they're actually going to go up now, especially for the agents who are representing the sellers for obvious reasons. Number one, if you've got to do more work to try to find a customer for the seller's house, you're going to have to fund that work. And secondly, you've got to do the work once it goes under contract, especially if you're doing both ends of the deal. You got to take care of the buyer and help them with all their stuff. So you got work to find the prospect to buy the house, and you got to help this deal get to closing. So all that work increase is going to equal, like, you got to get paid more money in order to pull that off and consistently deliver the value that that needs to happen for that deal to get to closing, and you get your 5-star review. So yeah, of course, it's probably going to push commissions up, and quite frankly, Craig, for Craig Proctor members that have been doing this for many, many, many years, they do make a lot more money, a lot more than the average real estate agent does. They're the highest paid real estate agents as a percentage of sale in the world today. So if you like the idea of giving yourself a pay raise, then you definitely want to, like, at least grab the free report and dig in a little bit deeper here, so you can make the necessary change in your business to be one of those people in the marketplace that helps more sellers.
That was so well said. I just want to repeat what you said, make sure everybody gets it. Todd's argument here is the listing commission is going to go up. It's going to be easier for you to negotiate a higher commission when you're working with sellers. First of all, the part you keep will be higher for sure. You're not giving away half to a buyer broker. That will be illegal. But we can argue as a listing agent, as Todd said, you're going to do much more work. You can't just slap the listing on MLS and have it commission shared anymore and let the other agents aren't going to get paid on MLS to sell it. You're going to have to do some heavy duty marketing to get your listing sold. It's going to be harder for you to get your listing sold. You're going to have to invest more time in marketing. You have to have better training on how do I market my listings so they sell. Mm-hmm. Okay. And number two, since you in effect are the listing agent and now the buyer agent, you're doing all the work of the buyer agent, all the way through closing, the inspections, everything that happens, handling the whole thing. So how many of you would agree? Let me know in comments. How many of you agree we deserve a higher listing fee if you're doing all the work? Many buyers, of course, will just call the listing agent versus, stroking a check for 20 or 30 or 40,000, especially first-time buyers, right? First-time buyers are like, hang on a minute. I just spent 3 years saving up my $20,000 deposit, and you, the real estate agent, want it, right? How's that going to fly? Yeah, so listings are going to be really important for us to drill down on those, but you're going to have the skill set to get the listing, negotiate the fee with the seller. And what's the use of getting a listing if you don't know how to market it to get a buyer? Mm-hmm. You guys need to, it's a big point that Todd's making here, because many of us haven't had to worry about that. For many real estate agents, I'm sorry, their marketing plan is get the listing, slap it on MLS, and let the other agents do the work. No, the other agents aren't doing the work anymore. It's your listing. You need to market it. This is how it works in other countries, right? This is what's happening now. So we can not like it, we can fight it, or we can say it is what it is.
Yeah, massive benefits, but there's massive benefits in doing that. So if you're a real estate agent watching right now, and let's say there were no MLS and you were to list Craig Proctor's house, okay, you're taking on Craig Proctor's property, you're taking responsibility for getting it sold, there's no MLS, pretend there's not, like, what would you do? What exactly would you do? And immediately you start thinking about things you would do. And you probably develop a list of things to do. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you go do that? And likely when you go do those things, you generate a lot of prospects versus just jamming an MLS and generating no prospects. So it's going to be better for people who lean in and embrace this way of doing things for sure. And but you need, I'd recommend you find a guide to help you navigate all that. No better place than the Craig Proctor system. Obviously, I'm very biased because my life become great as a result of it. Thank you, Craig.
We are very
And
biased.
yeah,
We've Todd and I have put our life's work into this. And by the way, if you want to meet up with Todd and I, if you guys are in the Toronto area, you don't have to be in the Toronto area. You can fly in from wherever. We have agents literally flying in from all over North America to the Craig Proctor conference. It's going to be on April the 3rd. So like a couple weeks from now. Okay. Wednesday, April the 3rd in Toronto. If you want to get more information, go to craigproctor.com. Go to craigproctor.com, click on Super Conference, and you can register there, and you can spend the day with Todd and I and 400 superstar realtors from all over the United States and Canada. We're congregating in a couple weeks in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You can get yourself registered by going to craigproctor.com.
Mhm.
Okay, option number 2. You say, okay, well, I can't make it to Toronto, or those dates don't work. Book a call with me. Now, you won't be talking to me. You'll be talking to my team. And you might be thinking, well, if I book this call, is this some kind of total sales pitch? No, we don't need to sell you on anything because we have the answers to what you need. Just give us an opportunity to ask you a few questions about your business and how you're going to go about things with these changes that have been forced upon us. And we'll show you what we do. Okay. Now we'll show you what we do. We're not going to show you how to do it. We'll just show you the results. We'll show you ample proof. And then you can decide, is the Craig Proctor way a better way? Is it true that this Craig Proctor guy has created more millionaire agents than any other coach or trainer or guru? Is it true that within 36 months of Craig Proctor getting his real estate license, he was named the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world? Is it true that Todd Walters noticed that and he was working at RE/MAX in Atlanta, Georgia, and he flew up to see Craig? And here's what Craig did. I said, hey, Todd, here's how I do it. And Todd took the here's how I do it back to Atlanta, Georgia, and he became one of the top 10 real estate agents in the country, in the United States, by just copying the Craig Proctor system. And then I said to Todd, hey, Todd, why don't you and I work together, because we got so much demand for this, and you and I will focus on teaching other real estate agents from all over the United States and Canada what I did and what you've done. Who better to help the other real estate agents copy what we did? And Todd and I have been doing that for 20 years. And we have real estate agents that we coach that have honestly been with us for over 20 years, many of them, hundreds over 10 years with us, that make millions and millions of dollars a year. Now, Todd, I'm going to let you name drop some of the people that we work with, that we've been coaching for many, many years, and the production level that they do.
Sure. I remember Nathan Clark, first met him. He came in as doing a couple of $100,000 as a real estate agent, working a lot of hours. Now he does $6 million a year. That's not sales volume now, that's income. So living a good life. Tracy King, met him when he jumped into the system. It was Tracy, his wife, and they had an assistant. They were doing about $560,000 at the time, but a lot of people would say, why would somebody making $500,000 be looking for, some sort of change? And I was like, I don't know. I guess he wanted to make 10 million because that's what he does now. Nancy Kowalik up in New Jersey, met Nancy. She was doing about $30,000 a year in income. Now she does $4 million a year in real estate income. Wally Kerr out in Oklahoma, met Wally. He was doing about 40 sales a year. Now he does 400 sales a year. Wally does. It even works in Quebec. Bertrand and RG Dassault, when I met them, they came to a meeting. They brought their own toaster oven to the first conference that they came to. They couldn't afford to eat out, eat the food at the hotel. So they brought their own food in their own toaster oven. Last year, they did over $10 million in
Yeah, and
income.
they had to take all our intellectual property,
Yes.
obviously being in Quebec, and translate everything from English to French.
Yeah.
Well, how about Shelley?
Shelly
Shelley,
Salas. Yep. Shelly and Lewis Salas in Texas, right around the Fort Hood area. And we met Shelly. Her and Lewis were exhausted. They were selling 300 homes a year, but they were all REO listings, foreclosure listings. She hated it. She was making no money. The banks were putting pressure on her. She goes, "How do I get out of this mess?" And I was like, "Well, we have the answer for you." Okay, so last year she does 900 home sales, no REOs, and she's the number one Hispanic real estate agent in the entire United States of America as a direct result of the same system that you guys get to show up here on these podcasts and learn about, for sure. Rudy Kasuma in California. Remember when we met Rudy? He had to send his kids to Indonesia to stay with his family because he was so busy as a real estate agent
yeah,
trying
he
to
came
figure
over
this
from
out and get it going.
Indonesia, English, had to learn the language, got into real estate, and
Yeah.
I still have a little trouble understanding him, but his English is way better now. But what kind of business is Rudy having?
Yeah,
He was
he's
the number one Remax agent in the state of California, by the way.
Yeah, which would make him number one, up in the top 5 in the entire world.
Right.
And I think last year he's around $20 million. He's built a sizable real estate business, as you guys can imagine. These are not sales volume numbers now. These are income numbers. We don't talk sales volume here. We talk real income, real money, and no smoke and mirrors. But look, there are hundreds of these people. Myself, when I got into real estate, I was bankrupt and homeless, and I'm not sugarcoating that at all. Literally bankrupt, literally homeless. I just got married to make it worse, but it actually made it better because I was able to shack up in my father-in-law's basement, and it was a basement now, Craig, with crickets and spiders and stuff. So I'm desperate to try to figure life out at that moment in time. I was 21 years old when this was going on, and so I stumbled around for a couple of years, trying to work hard, figure it out. Get involved with Craig Proctor early in my career. By 1996, I was a millionaire real estate agent. So, and there's so many stories like that, and it's really cool and fun to watch the emotions of these real estate agents who are just people trying to live life and the best they can and make other people's lives better. To watch their stories, the emotions come out when they tell their stories about their journey of going from rags to rich agent stories, using this amazing system that you let out into the world, Craig. You didn't have to do that, by the way. You could have just kept on going as a real estate agent, doing your thing, top 10 for Remax for 15 freaking consecutive years. And you could have just done that, with your team. But at some point, I guess you decided, you know what, I'm gonna make this available to other real estate. I'm glad you did, and I know a lot of people are. So and here you are still today, doing free podcasts and giving tons of value away at no cost. You even offered a free report today, for goodness sake.
Yeah, let's get back to how you can get that free report. Just type your email address into the comments, and we'll get you the information on what we talked about today. It's free. No one's going to call you or hound you. We're just giving you good information here, and then you can decide whether we're the right coaches and trainers for you. Also, don't forget, you can book a call with my team. It's called a breakthrough call, not a sales pitch in any way. We just show you what we've got, how we do this, what the end result, the benefit for you would be. If someone could type into the comments, proctorcall.com. So just my name, proctorcall.com. That's a clickable link. If you type in proctorcall.com, click on that link, and it'll take you to my day timer, and you can book a day and a time that works for you. Schedule about 45 minutes. We'll ask you a bunch of questions about your business, and we'll show you how you can attract more buyers without cold calling or door knocking, without chasing people. People aren't answering the phone anyway, so you need to find a better way to be able to convert the leads. We'll help you improve your listing and buyer presentation, especially with buyers. You better be really good. You better understand exactly what to say to buyers, because now you have to compel the buyer to pay you. You can't make a buyer work with you. You can't make a buyer pay you, but you can use the right language to compel the buyer to want to work with you and to pay you. How are you going to negotiate this deal? How are you going to get paid through the proceeds of sale? We lay it all out for you. How are you going to get listings? Okay, a lot of you are like, well, the heck with buyers, I'm going to concentrate on listings. Well, do you know how to get more of them? Do you know what it is to offer sellers? Do you know how to attract them? What media to use? Do you know how to sell their listing when you do get it? You can't rely on just jamming the house on MLS and letting some other agent do the work. You're actually going to have a system to sell your listings. All this will be covered. And we have the Toronto Craig Proctor event on Wednesday, April the 3rd. You can get information on that at craigproctor.com. Now, I'll also give you my email address. It's craig@craigproctor.com. You can directly email me, craig@craigproctor.com, if you have any questions, or feel free to type your questions into chat, into the comments right now. And if we don't get to your questions while we're still live here, I promise you we'll follow up with them and we'll get back to you. But what are your thoughts on this, guys? Are you excited by this? Are you a little bit nervous by the changes? Kind of caught off guard? Does it make sense that you get somebody, the right person, to help you in your real estate career so you're not stumbling around in the dark? I know every real estate company promises training, right? We believe that when we get into real estate, Todd, that if we're a good person and we really work hard and we know all the rules and we care about our clients, that should be enough. But as you know, many of you watching this right now are hardworking, good people who take care of your clients. You work hard. You're trying to represent their best interest, and things aren't going as well. There are lots of great agents that are struggling right now because they don't know how to create a steady stream of buyer and seller business where the buyers and sellers are contacting them. If you're buying leads from Zillow, okay, they're not answering the phone. If you can't reach them on the phone, you can't tell them who you are, what you got, what makes you different or better. It's dead. You've got to learn how to get the buyers and sellers to contact you. Yes, we know how to do that. You don't know how to do it. This is how we've created more millionaires than anybody else. It's not that you need to be a better agent. I know they try to tell you that. Oh, you need to be a better agent. You need the latest designations. You need more. Nope. You guys are good enough. What you need is better marketing. What you need is hungry buyers and sellers. What do they say? If you want to start if you want to start a restaurant, make sure your restaurant's in front of a starving crowd. That's what we have done here. How else can you guys explain how I get into real estate? Like Todd, I wasn't homeless, but I was living in my parents' basement. My father was a real estate agent. My dad even said, son, don't do it. When I said to my dad, I want to get into real estate, he said, don't do it. I said, why? I thought he would be excited about getting me out of the house, right? He's like, well, look, son, to be honest, you've never really stuck with anything in your life, which is true. I dropped out of college. I dropped out of university. I'm like, okay, Dad, you got me on that. I haven't really stuck with anything. He goes, you've never sold anything in your life. You have no experience in sales. That was true. I'd never sold anything in my life. No experience in sales. He says, you don't know anything about marketing. Well, that was true. I didn't know anything about marketing. So I did the opposite of what my dad instructed me to do. I got into real estate anyway. And my dad was right, because I made the same mistake that all you guys made. You get into the business, you look around at all the other real estate agents, you do what the broker tells you to do, you look around what all the other agents are doing, and you copy it. And that means cold calling, door knocking, buying leads, facing rejection, getting hung up on. It is difficult. Now, I'm the same agent. I'm the same real estate agent in the same marketplace. I didn't switch marketplaces. And within 24 months, boom, I change my mindset. I change my marketing, and I become the #1 RE/MAX agent, not in the country, in the world. I'm still in my 20s. I'm still living in my parents' basement. It's marketing, folks. Now, the good news, you might be like, well, who cares? That's good for you, Craig. No, it's good news for all of you, because what I've proven and what Todd has proven for 30 years is this is totally duplicatable. Yeah. Todd's living in a basement in Atlanta. I'm living in a basement in Toronto. He's like, well, I'm going to go see what this, he went to his RE/MAX broker, and his RE/MAX broker is like, yeah, go see Craig. So Todd comes up to Toronto. We hang out. He starts to model after what I'm doing, and I'm happy to help him, right? I'm like, here, Todd, don't do it this way. Do it this way. Let's do it this way. And then all of a sudden, Todd is one of the top 10 agents in the country. Okay, now we're going to teach everybody how to do it. Do you guys want to know how to do this? Let us know. Do you really want to be successful? Do you have a coach right now? Did your coach, did they or are they right now making millions and millions of dollars in commission income selling real estate? Of course not. Most of these trainers are pretenders. They didn't make millions and millions of dollars actually selling real estate like we did. And we didn't do it for a year. Todd and I did this for 25 years. Todd still has a real estate company. It's in behind him right now. Your home sold, guaranteed realty. Get a coach that knows how to become a millionaire agent. Not like they're doing it. They've done it before. How many of you would agree it's very difficult for somebody that has not been successful in real estate to show you how to do something they have never done? Right? If you wanted financial advice, would you want financial advice from somebody that's poor? Or would you rather have financial advice from somebody that's financially successful? This is what we bring to the table, folks. Real world experience. And that's why when you're listening to us, you're like, okay, here's a couple guys that make sense. Again, I know all your companies provide training. Who's doing the training? People that failed at real estate. Having a coach. We had Gary Keller, as you recall, Todd, the keynote speaker at a couple of our Craig Proctor super conferences.
Mm-hmm.
We did one in LA. What's that place called? Staples.
LA Live there. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Staples. Okay. LA Live. And Gary Keller was the keynote speaker there. And Gary Keller was talking about, like, why would you want to do this business on your own? Like, everything that you want to do, he said, is already been done by other people. You know, you don't have to have a creative bone in your body. You just got to be smart enough to find the people that are doing what you want and copy them. He said, that's what I did. So he said it's a good idea to have a coach, that everyone should have a coach. And he said that he himself today, Gary Keller, still has his coaches. But he said the coach, who the coach is, really, really matters. Are you guys running around coachless? Or are you not particular about who your coach is? There's lots of advice on real estate. In fact, Todd, right now on YouTube, we could argue there's more how-to information on how to be successful as a real estate agent on YouTube. There's more information on the internet about how to be successful as an agent than ever before. Well, then why the hell are so many agents struggling? If it's true that there's more information online, more training and free information on how to be successful as a real estate agent, it's all free, it's online, there's never been as much of it. Why are so many agents failing? Because they're getting the wrong information.
Yep.
Okay, the fact that there's so much information out there, you're overwhelmed with advice from people that have never successfully done what they're talking about. Now, there are a few of them out there, but you're not going to find anyone with a better track record than us for helping people and creating millionaires. So drop in your email address and we'll get you the information on today. Okay. The report is how to get listings in this volatile market. And we'll talk about how to work the buyer ends with these changes. Book a call with me. It's free. It costs you $0. What do you got to lose? $0. What are you doing with 45 minutes of your time that's better than talking to my team for $0? You're not obligated to do anything. Let us show you what your business could look like. If you don't like it, you can hang up at any time. But once you hear this, you can't unhear it.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an opportunity to explain this to you. Okay? If you want to book the call, you go to proctorcall.com. And for those of you that are really ambitious, you jump on a plane, you get in your car, and you drive to Toronto. And you meet Todd and I and 400 superstars on April the 3rd. How do I register? You go to craigproctor.com, click on Super Conference. Todd Walters, any final remarks before we wrap this up?
Yeah, sure. So I pulled up my phone here. I got a lot of text messages. And when I say a lot, like it's a decent amount from real estate agents that have been forwarding me screenshots and messages that they've been getting from customers in the marketplace. Here's one from a Craig Proctor member who sent me a screenshot just yesterday of a homeowner that they've been talking to about getting their home on the market. This is what the homeowner said. It says, "Hi, Jamie. Hope you're having a good day. What are the new rules for brokerage fees? A friend of mine just sent me this article. Thanks." And the seller's name. You know what article they sent? Was the article on the NAR settlement and changes in how real estate commissions are being paid in the marketplace today. So it's happening. This is a conversation that homeowners are having with themselves and with the inside at their dining room tables, watching the news and reading things online.
It's
like
a
that.
terrible PR for the real estate industry. Absolutely terrible.
Mm.
You know, you watch CNBC, you watch any business, any news. It's like, real estate agents, found guilty of conspiracy. Basically ripping off. And how many of your sellers you sold a house to in the last couple of years have received direct mail from attorneys, from lawyers saying, if you sold a home in the last couple of years, you can be part of this class action. So basically, you got ripped off. Terrible mismanagement of this for our industry. But you know what? We'll get through this. At the end of the day, buyers still want to buy homes and they still want help buying homes. And sellers could always have sold their homes themselves, but they've chose to have a real estate agent represent them and market them. Okay. Now there's a lot of real estate agents. If you want to be chosen, you've got to know how to stand out from the crowd. You've got to know what to do, what to say, and how to handle these transactions. And you need to learn how to negotiate your fees so you can maximize your profit. You work hard in this industry. You're away from your family. We sacrifice a lot to be real estate agents, to be there and take care of all the details so the clients can live their life. Come and get coached up by us, or at least get some information. You're watching this for a reason. Okay. Todd and I have been on here now for about 45 minutes. If you're still watching this, that means you're interested. Make sure you drop in your email address. We'll get you some information. And I want to thank everybody for watching this. Todd Walters, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us here today. And hopefully we'll see many of you in Toronto on April the 3rd. But if not, if you have any questions at all, drop your comments in and we will get back to all of them. And thank you so much for watching the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Take care.
Thank you, Craig.